Hello, welcome to my channel. Welcome back if you've been here before. I am Devin. Today we are talking about how I take my self-portraits. Alright, to start, what I'm going to talk about is stuff specific to my self-portraits, and then after that it's mostly just general things, just general photography tips to follow. But the first thing I'm going to talk about is my gear and my software that I use. So for this specific shoot that I'm going off of for this video, I used my Canon EOS 60 Mark II, that's what I always use, and I use my 24-105 L series f4 lens. Sometimes I do use my 50mm, which I have back here. Sometimes I do use this. It's a very good portrait lens, but these two lenses are kind of the only two that I ever really shoot portraits on. But so that's kind of the gear that I use. Of course, I have a tripod. I have multiple tripods. You're definitely going to want a tripod for this, but you don't need one. If you have a bunch of books that you're setting up, or if you have a car bumper, a truck tailgate to set a camera on, somewhere to set a camera where it's not going to move and you can point it at yourself and take photos. It's really not all that complicated. I don't want to talk it down. You just need some place to set the camera so that it points at you and takes pictures of yourself. I always use my tripod. I have a really nice one that I bought, and it has a level on it. It also has a fluid motion video head that comes with it. It's by Neewer. Nice carbon fiber tripod. And what's really important when I take my self-portraits is my phone. I have my iPhone right here, XS Max, and brand and model doesn't really matter, but my phone is a big part of what I use for my self-portraits. You actually, if I'm bad at hiding it, you might see it in some of my photos, or you might have seen it in some of my photos already. Sometimes I purposely leave it in, sometimes I leave it out, or try to hide it somewhere, put it in my pocket. That is definitely a big part because I can connect my phone to this camera, and it acts as a remote, like a clicker remote, but I can also change the settings from my phone. I don't have to be up on the camera and change it all there. That app is called Canon Camera Connect, and it is very helpful. It helps with a lot of stuff. I actually use it right here as well, because so I'm not reaching up to this camera trying to adjust all my settings. I have it in front of me. I can adjust. I can see what I look like, and you'll actually probably be seeing this right now up on the screen as I'm going through. I did a screen recording of what happens when you're changing the settings. I have all my settings right there in front of me. It's really nice, and kind of what I go through taking a photo. It might be here, it might not be. We'll see how long I keep it up. But you don't need to use your phone. You don't need to use a Camera Connect app or any sort of software like that. You can have a clicker remote, or even the simplest one, you can set your photo timer to 10 seconds. Even when I'm shooting with my phone, I usually have it at 2 seconds. That way I can click the button, hide my phone, or get set, and it'll take the photo. Sometimes I do use the 10-second one. It is nice to have some extra time to do that. You can just use that setting, that 10-second shutter, and you can pick where you want to stand. You can either set focus there already, or if you have it on AI servo or like a face tracking mode, that's helpful there as well. You hit the shutter, it starts counting down from 10. You go, say I'm right here, I do all my settings, hit the shutter, come in, make sure I'm in frame, do my pose, it takes a picture, it's on the phone, or it's on the camera. Wow. Those are all ways you can do that. I always use my phone. It's just works the best for me. I don't have to run back and forth between the camera and myself, especially, if I'm zoomed all the way in at 105, say on this lens, I'm trying to take a picture and I want to be in front of the camera, I have to sprint to get where I need to be. Now that's kind of the gear and the software that I use for these self-portraits. You don't have to use them. This is just kind of what I do. And now I'm going to take you through kind of my thought process when I'm deciding on what I want to do for a shoot, because I am the photographer, I'm the model, the operator, everything. I'm also editing, I'm also posting. Nobody else is involved in this unless I have somebody come along with me. Then I'm not taking self-portraits, they're taking photos of me, but I'm usually still directing some sort of way. Of course, it all starts as an idea. It comes to my head. This one specifically was, I want to look like a biker in a retro modern style. All right, so I get my idea and then I kind of roll with it. I start building on it, start piecing together my outfit kind of like what I want to wear, think about the locations that I can shoot at. Now this location that are in these photos today was actually just down the road from my house, so that's kind of nice. I'm still isolating, I'm still in quarantine, nobody was with me, nobody was around me. That way I can do it there. Sometimes maybe I'll be down here in my office, or I say office, but down here in the basement, and I use either the concrete wall like this, or I have my blue wall behind me. You may have seen those before up on my Instagram. So for this one, I got my jacket, got my jeans, got my boots, t-shirt, what have you. Okay, I have my outfit and I kind of have an idea of what I want to do for my location. I know I want something that has a lot of texture, and I want something that's going to cast like an even light. Luckily, it was kind of overcast out anyway, so I was just able to go down and go underneath this canopy. It's actually in a corn crib, an abandoned, I don't want to say abandoned, but just kind of, it's just there. It's a corn crib, and it's all empty on the inside, falling apart. But it looked really cool, and it kind of goes together with the style that I wanted. So now I have this setting that I can use, and I'm going to start using for this shoot. Now the next thing that I go, of course, I can't really be moving around a whole lot. I have to set up my camera in a spot, and I have to go and pick where I want to shoot, what direction I want to shoot, where I want to be, where I want to stand, where the camera needs to be accordingly. So I can't really be like, okay, I'm going to shoot here. Okay, now I can move around and kind of come around and shoot here and shoot here and shoot here. I usually only go through maybe 2 to 4. 4 is on the high side of, especially with me, 4 is on the high side of kind of different angles, directions that I go with. I usually stick with 1 or 2, maybe 3. This one was 2. It worked out pretty well. I got the one vantage point that I really wanted, and I saw another one that could have worked with some extra framing and stuff. And all this that I'm talking about, you will see. I'm going to throw them up here on the screen after a while. But that's kind of how I choose my setting, my scene that I want to shoot. I just kind of show up. I look around my area that I have, see what directions I want to go. Sometimes I already have an idea in my mind because I already know what the location looks like. So then I can just kind of show up and be like, okay, I already know I want to set the camera here, shoot this way, and it'll show up hopefully how I see it in my mind. This one did. The rafters were a little taller than I thought they were. Not rafters, the cross beams were a little bit taller than I thought they were going to be, but it all worked out. It actually turned out pretty good. The next step that we go to is when you are directing and photographing yourself. Now, it is really nice using the Camera Connect app because you can view live shooting, and I can click into that. I can see what my camera is seeing, which in this case, it's me. So I'm looking at my phone while the camera is looking at me, and it's kind of does this loop thing. But so I can see where I'm standing, how I'm positioned, and what I want to do. Now I have to think of my pose. Where do I want my face? What way do I want to look? I usually do serious shoots, but do I want to shoot with a serious face, or do I want to be smiling, be happy? Sometimes I do that. I just like, it's hard to when you're forcing a smile, because I have to hold it for 2 seconds. At least, if I don't do the 10-second one. So holding a smile like that, it always looks super weird when it comes into the camera, and when I'm editing, I'm just like, oh, that doesn't look natural at all. So I usually just hold a straight face. That's the easiest way to do it. And if you're ever wondering, just a little art history lesson, if you're ever wondering why a lot of paintings of people were never of them smiling, it was just a straight face, that's because they're sitting there for hours and hours and hours. You're not going to hold a smile for that long. You're just going to sit there. But I digress. So once I get kind of my main ideas out of the way, because usually I roll up, I already have a few ideas and poses of what I want to do, but then I can kind of play around with what's around me. Maybe I want to sit on a rock. Maybe I want to crouch on the floor. I always have to do my classic squatting down, one leg in front of the other, and kind of, I don't know, I'm not sure what to do with my hands kind of photo. I always have to do that. That's just something that, like, even if I don't think about it till afterwards, I'm like, oh yeah, I did do one of those for this shoot too, because I always do. Then I start looking around as I'm actually taking these photos. So maybe I'm taking these photos, I'm looking off, I'm like, and as my camera's taking a picture of me, I'm like, oh, hey, that looks pretty cool. I can use that for the next one. And I'm just in my mind going the whole time. With this one, I finished up where I wanted to be, and then I kind of I was like, oh, I'm going to make a frame here. I'm going to take the camera outside of the crib, and I'm going to be inside. And it's the same thing. Where's my face here? Focus. Come on, grab my face. We here? There we go. Now we're focused. Okay. I'm inside of a frame, I'm gonna be back, I'm gonna be close, I'm just trying out a whole bunch of different things. I got nothing but time, so I'm able to kind of try out a bunch of different shots, see what I like, see what I don't like, see what kind of vantage points look the best. I always try to go for a natural look. I don't want to look posed. I want to look like I am just leaning up against that wall and somebody's taking a picture of me. That is the biggest thing with taking self-portraits is, yes, obviously it's posed. You're taking a self-portrait, but you want to do your best to not make it look as posed. You want it to look natural. You want it to look relaxed. So with this one, I was leaning up against the wood. I was leaning, I was just kind of standing, leaning on one foot, staring off into the distance. I wasn't like all, professional headshot posed. Even in the one headshot that I posted a couple days ago or yesterday, even with that one, I tried to make it look natural. Like, yes, I was there, I was in front, but then right before I took the picture, I just kind of, relaxed, blew out everything. I'm not, sitting up, chest out, school photo, like, not really too worried about that. Now with the photo itself, this is kind of, just in general photography. Do I want to go wide angle? Do I want to punch it in a little bit more? That's what's nice about this 24 to 105. I have all of that ability. I can shoot at, I usually don't go 24 because that kind of messes up corners. It's a little wide. I usually use that for landscapes. I'll usually go about as low as 35, which I am loving right now. I'm loving the 35 millimeter look. That actually is probably going to be my next lens, is a 35 prime. Maybe, I think like a 1.8 is the cheaper one, I think. Maybe a 1.4 if I find the need for it. Anyway, loving the 35 millimeter look, but maybe I want to zoom in, maybe go 50 without throwing the 50 millimeter on there. Now, some people might wonder, so what's the difference between 50 millimeter on a 24 to 105 versus a 50 millimeter prime lens? Well, with this, the difference is, well, this actually has a little bit higher quality glass in it, but the aperture only opens up to an f4, whereas the aperture on the Nifty 50, even though it's not an L series lens, it opens up to a 1.8. You can't zoom, it's just the aperture opens up really wide, and that's usually what you get with a lot of prime lenses, is that you can open up that aperture very wide. Now I'm also, with this, I am playing around with different shot styles. Do I want to be close in? Do I want to be far away? Do I want to go waist up? Do I want to be total body? It's different. I usually try to get in a lot of different shots when I am taking self-portraits, because you don't have somebody in front of you holding the camera, moving back and forth or zooming in and out. You physically have to move yourself or walk up to the camera and zoom it. That's the one thing that you can't do, is automatically zoom the lens, but it's not really the biggest issue in the world. Other than that, you're walking back and forth, positioning yourself within the frame, different ways, different styles, trying to make it interesting, and trying to give you different things to where when you throw it into the computer and you start editing, you have different options to choose from. Now that's actually a good segue, because next thing that you do is you get back and you start editing your photos. I'm not going to show any of that here, just because I did a video on the basics of what I do for Lightroom editing. That'll be up in this corner. You can click on that. I don't want to bore you with that here, but because it's all my normal editing process. I go through that, I edit my photos, I export them, send them to my phone, I post them. That's pretty much how it goes. But anyway, that's how I take my self-portraits. I hope this helps. I hope you guys can learn something from this. If you take any self-portraits from this video, go ahead and tag me in them and I will share them. I'll take a look at them. And I hope you guys like this video. If you do, leave it a big thumbs up. And next week, I have a couple ideas. I think I want to do either iPhone photography or why everybody needs a 50 millimeter lens. You can go ahead and choose for me. Go ahead and leave that in the comments below, which one you would like to see first. I'm probably gonna end up doing both of them anyway. But yeah, that's it. This was fun. Let's do this again sometime. I'll see you guys next week.